Hello and welcome to Wising Arts Centre Studio Artists Live. We've been live here every day this week from the 1st to the 5th of March as part of Discover Creative Careers Week. And this is part of our programme to highlight some of the studio artists that we work with, provide a bit of an insight into how they work, and also provide young creatives with an opportunity to take away a creative prompt. So please do feel free to log into the chat here on YouTube, and we'll ask questions as you go along. We'd love to hear what you're thinking and any questions that you've got. And we'll ask these and questions that come up at the end of the session. So for now, I'm going to hand over to our artist for the session, Beeny Harwood. Welcome, Beeny.
Hi, Lucy. Yeah, thank you for having me today. Yeah, so excited. So I'll dive right in. I wanted to start off by telling you all a little bit about how I ended up becoming a studio artist at Wising Arts Centre. I first got involved with Wising Arts Centre was when I became a member of Circuit in 2017. Don't know if, Lucy, you want to quickly mention what Circuit is, but...
So Circuit Cambridge, for anyone who doesn't know, it's a group of 18 to 25-year-olds who get involved in different creative peer-led projects with Wising Arts Centre and Kettle's Yard in Cambridge. And there'll be a link in the chat that you can find out more about them there.
So yeah, I got involved with Circuit and I started to be asked to deliver different workshops. I went back to university following kind of this experience and went into marketing. Since then, I've worked in the textile industry as a marketing manager. I left my job in October 2020, and that is when I rejoined Wising Arts Centre and became a studio artist, sharing my studio with Olu, who's another artist at Wising, which is great. Yeah, so I'm going to talk a little bit about my practice today. My practice kind of goes in two sort of separate directions that sometimes come together in different ways, but for the most part kind of remain the two separate entities. The first sort of strand to that is a lot of the work I do with communities. I work a lot with charities, a lot with different organisations in Cambridge, nationally and internationally. I do a lot of work regarding women's rights, but I have also more recently been doing sort of work with homeless communities, more local to Cambridge, and I've worked with organisations like XR with climate activists. I thought I'd just show you a little bit of that work. So I'll just screen share. So yeah, this is the work that I did with XR. It was an interactive, well, it is an interactive website. You can actually click on the link in the chat. It's about pipeline construction and how it affects different communities worldwide. So pipelines are these different ways in which we extract oil from the earth. And the construction of these can often rip down people's homes and just kind of, yeah, just destroy whole communities and whole towns. It's been a really interesting project to do, actually, because I did a lot of research, and if you do click on the link, you'll find different pieces of information about how these different communities have been affected. But this goes on worldwide, and there's a lot more coverage in places such as Canada and America on what's actually happening. Whereas I've noticed there's a lot less coverage in places like India and places in Africa. As I mentioned, another project I've been doing with the local community is working with the homeless in Cambridge. This was a coat collection I did just recently, and we managed to collect 40 coats which were redistributed to people in need of a warm coat this year, and we also got donations along with those coats that were given to us by different people, members of the community in Cambridge. So yeah, so that's kind of my first strand to my artistic practice, and sort of how I'm working with others. The second kind of strand to what I do in my daily life is I work a lot on kind of filling up, recharging, and kind of a lot of self-care after some of these projects that can be quite intensive and straining. I like to kind of have some periods of just really grounding myself and looking at what's around me and working with different materials, and just sort of, as you can see, looking at patterns in plants, something as simple as that, all the different shapes, all of the different colors and textures that you can find within what's objects that are just laying around. I do have periods where I experience quite severe symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder, and this kind of part of my practice really helps me to deal with my flashbacks, because by using these techniques I can become more grounded in the present moment. I do draw, I do also paint, and also applique. So that's where I layer fabric one on top of the other to create images. Yeah. This is just a few more examples. As you can see, it really is just sort of what's around and what's catching my eye. The one on the left was my backyard in the summertime, and it's very abstract, but it was just kind of the colors of it were just bringing me so much joy, and just looking at the flowers. And on the right, I've been and got a pineapple, and I just was thinking how beautiful this pineapple was, but I think a pink pineapple would be awesome. It was green, but just really experimenting with different colors and seeing what comes out, and just not being afraid to create things that really just look gorgeous and fill me up with joy, really. One kind of major art movement that really inspires me is folk art. I think, again, like the colors and just kind of looking at everyday objects or everyday kind of routines just in a different way, and just kind of elevating them. I love that. So these two pieces, the one on the left is one by Helen Francis, and it's just sort of, I think it's so lovely. It's kind of all these people coming together under one roof, and it looks like they're about to celebrate, and just sort of just a snapshot of just what could be thought of as quite a simple moment, but actually is really beautiful. And then on the right, this is by Clementine Hunter, and it's again just something really simple, really everyday. These are people picking cotton, but she's just captured kind of the scene in such a beautiful way. She's really highlighted how the sky is all these different colors, and just picked up on the few things that are really important to highlight: the cotton, the big bags, the hats, the postures of these people. I just think it's fabulous. So, as I mentioned a bit earlier on, as well as drawing and painting, I also do a lot of applique work, which is kind of this process of layering fabric on top of the other. Like the painting and drawing, when I'm kind of feeling a bit tense or a bit, I can't really relax, kind of this process of just stitching really helps me to relax in my body. And it's kind of, for me, it can be like a form of meditation and just grounding. The image on the left is one of a wall hanging, which is 2 by 2 meters. And it's sort of about my experience of movement and how movement can be a really tranquil place to be. Can't say that word though. And then the one on the right is a jacket. It's a kimono, and it's got these little geometric shapes that are all stitched together. which was a kind of a reflection of Lisbon, which was a period of time where I went off and spent some time in Lisbon, and I just thought that the streets were beautiful, and the hills sort of, as all the buildings fit together and the light shone on them, it was just gorgeous view, and something that I was kind of not used to experiencing in Cambridge with it being so flat. So it was quite a stark difference to me, and just something that I wanted to sort of portray, that experience of me walking through these streets. So yeah, so this kind of idea of placing these sorts of experiences I'm having, whether it be movement and the feeling of tranquility and movement, or walking through those Lisbon streets and then placing them onto an item, is something that's used quite a lot by the arts and crafts movement. And I really am inspired there by that kind of like attention to detail, this sort of, I feel like I could even call it maximalism, is sort of like really shoving lots of really bold patterns. The William Morris stuff I love, because he's creating these beautiful patterns from everyday gardens, you know, those just experiences that we have. And I've dropped in this painting by John Ruskin as well. He's written quite a lot of books, and I came across one many years ago, and I was reading it, and he had written like 100 pages just based on talking about the different colors of the sky and how beautiful the sky was. And I just think it's this elevation of just like these simple things that we just experience. It's just, yeah, really, really does inspire me and inspires my work, and has also kind of inspired what I'm going to talk about in the activity that I'm going to do today. So today I thought we could kind of transport ourselves to a memory we have in time. This is kind of this precursor to the activity, and then maybe you could go away and then finish the activity another time. But I thought I'd like you to just kind of close your eyes and cast yourself back to a memory, something that could feel quite mundane. Maybe it's something that you do, maybe it's something that you even do every day, or maybe it's something that was quite a big event for you. Maybe it's something that you only ever do once, but that's why it really stuck in your mind. So you close your eyes, and actually before we carry on, I think maybe it's just good to take a good deep breath. So relaxing the shoulders down, closing the eyes, deep breath in through the nose. Exhale out to that memory. What can you hear in that place? What can you see? What are you doing? Are you holding anything? Can you taste anything? And is there a distinct smell? I'm just holding on to anything that came up through those questions. Opening the eyes, giving a bit of a shake, and then maybe writing it down if you wanted to hold those in your mind, if you've taken part in that quick activity. And kind of from this list of prompts, so to say, I'd like you to think about any object that was in that scene. So maybe it's something that came to mind that you were holding. Maybe you're struggling a bit to think of an object, but actually it's something that's in your surroundings that you might not consider to be an object. So one of my memories once was when I was out in nature. There's a lot of nature through my work, you'll probably notice, but I was thinking there's not much of an object there, but actually there was a tree that was enough of something to really kind of encapsulate what that memory was. once you've got that object, if you just grab a piece of paper, I'm going to grab one that doesn't have my notes on. And like I said earlier, then just go onto that piece of paper and draw the object, just a faint outline. Don't worry about it being too precise. I've gone ahead and drawn a tree. Can you see that? Maybe not. Not very, a bit darker. This is when you get the Sharpies out. You see the tree now. Cool. And then once you've got this object, thinking about the other aspects of that memory, the other themes that are running through, I'd like to decorate that object. So we're filling in the outline with patterns, with colours, with all of the things that encapsulate that memory. So even if it was down to a taste, maybe you were tasting tea, you might draw some tea leaves, or you might draw a tea bag or something. All of these different symbols that represent that time. And just before I finish and go to some questions, I thought I'd show you a couple of examples of when I've done this in my own work. So these are two kind of examples of where I've done this. On the left, we've got another jacket, and this one was inspired by a walk in nature I took. Actually, when I was a teenager, I think it was back when I was 20, when I was 16. And, you know, the more flesh coloured wavy patterns are all about my movement. And then we've got the nature coming in through leaves. And then the one on the right is actually a yoga mat. So the shape of a yoga mat, and will be appliqued into a yoga mat at some point soon. And this is kind of during 2019, when I was spending a lot of time in my backyard. I was doing a lot of yoga, and I'd bought and planted a lot of different flowers and things, and these were kind of around, and they were sort of engulfing me as I was practicing this yoga. And I just thought it would be lovely to remember that moment on this new object that I'm creating. Yeah, so that's just a couple of ideas. This is a few ways in which it's been done in folk art. So on the left, we've got some examples of some memory jugs. So these are often jugs that are made to commemorate people who might have passed away. And it's kind of attaching all these different objects, all these things that remind you of this person. So it's maybe not exactly a memory, it is a person, but maybe there is a person in your memory, and actually you associate that memory with some of the things that they might be wearing, something like that. And then on the right, we've got some spoons, something that's quite, you know, domestic, but maybe you're attaching those memories to something that, again, you're using like a tool. Great. Yeah. So hope you enjoyed kind of learning a little bit more about my practice. And any questions? Yeah.
Thank you, Beeny. It was really interesting to hear about your work and your kind of inspiration in nature, in some of those sort of memory paintings as well, and finding lots of different sources. I wonder, because your work seems to span quite a lot of areas, from working with other people to then doing these sort of drawings, paintings, or textile pieces more maybe for yourself. I wonder, is there a place where you kind of keep all your ideas? How do you log them down?
I have a lot of sketchbooks. I'm always drawing and like writing in sketchbooks. I write quite a lot. I use my phone. I'm like writing notes on my phone. I think you're so right to ask that question, because actually so many of my ideas come to me when I am not in the studio. They're always when I'm out doing things, because it's when I'm having an experience. University, we kind of, you know, doing illustration. I did illustration animation. I don't know if I mentioned that at university. So we were encouraged to always have a sketchbook on us, and encouraged to always be drawing. And these sketchbooks, actually, I've got them, you know, I've been drawing in them for like 6 years now. Some of the ones back from 2015, I've got some scenes of family members that are actually no longer with us. So actually they were just beautiful place to keep all these memories, and I still carry on doing that today. So yeah, just paper and write down.
Thank you. That's so lovely to hear as well, that you get inspiration and ideas from all these different places, and just, yeah, actually having a sketchbook as a place to just put everything down, even if it might not lead to a specific idea as well, but just a place to put it as well. And sort of on that, I suppose sketchbooks are often, some people might show them to other people, but a lot of people might just keep them for themselves. And I was thinking about your work, working with members of the community, like in your sort of Cope project, but also where you're creating work for yourself. Do you think it's important that art should be for other people, or do you think it's okay that you can just create art just for yourself?
Oh, I think definitely we should feel that we can create it just for ourselves. Yeah, I mean, it's all about kind of the intention going into what you're creating, isn't it? And that's why I think I have two separate strands, because my intention of going in and creating a piece of art with the community is for them. But then when I'm doing kind of my own practice, it's my intention is about recharging and nurturing myself. So I do definitely make the separate time for it. It's not that something that I was going to be doing with the community suddenly becomes something I'm doing for myself. It's kind of quite separate. But yeah, I think we should. I don't think I've got loads of things I'd never show anyone, and I think many artists would probably be the same. And it's just that we do it because it's for the love of it. Yeah.
Thank you, Beeny. It's really nice to hear how those two can balance off each other as well, of actually providing that opportunity to other people, but also using it to recharge your own batteries in a way, like you were saying. Thank you so much. I just had one final question, because you mentioned your different experience, kind of going to university, getting involved with Circuit Cambridge, and also working in marketing for a bit. And I wondered if you had any tips for someone watching this who might see themselves as being creative, not know what direction necessarily to go in. Do you have any tips for someone like that?
Yeah, I think don't kind of be afraid to go one way and then feel like it's not quite for you. I certainly went into marketing, and especially the textile industry, thinking that it would really play to my creative strengths. But when I got there, it didn't feel quite right. And I did backtrack, but I don't regret giving it a go and seeing where things led. And I certainly don't regret doing kind of an art degree, because it did lead on to doing marketing, and then it's kind of taken me full circle. And yeah, it's just don't be afraid to give it a go, really. Yeah,
maybe follow your interest and try out some different things as well.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Beeny, for joining us today, and thanks to those of you for listening as well. If you haven't managed to catch all the broadcasts this week, then you can head over to the wisingbroadcast.art platform, where you can catch this and all the other Studio Artist live sessions from across the week, and have a go and check into those videos as part of Discover Creative Careers Week. So thanks again to Beeny, and thanks for watching, and hope to see you again soon.